I consider Israil the best 154 pounder in the division right now. So why not go for the top guy in the division right off the bat? I want to leave a legacy that's never been left.
I think Israil is the finest 154-pound fighter in the division right now, so why not take on the best fighters straight away? Floyd Mayweather has disclosed the reason for my desire to create a legacy that has never been stated before. Terrence Crawford is going to lose to Madrimov, but according to former world champion Antonio Tarver, Crawford needs to rely on his technical skills to defeat Madoff in their upcoming fight on August 3. You have to give it to Crawford for stepping up and choosing one of the toughest opponents in the division. I believe he's trying to make a statement. Tarver cautions Crawford about getting into a brawl with Madrimov, characterizing Madrimova as a strong puncher who is 5'8" and has a build similar to Canelo Alvarez. Compares Madrimov's strength to that of Gennady Golovkin and Canelo. If Crawford decides to take Madrimov on in a slugfest like to his fights with Errol Spence Jr. and David Avaresian, his stamina will probably give out. Crawford, who is going to be 37, is ill-prepared to take on Madrimov's strong blows.
Man, you got to take your hat off to Crawford for, stepping up, but also picking and choosing one of the toughest guys in the division. I think Crawford want to make a statement.
Especially considering his 13-month hiatus. Rather than coming in on his opponents, Madoff, in contrast to Golovkin, chooses to maintain his space and deliver potent blows from a distance. Although Tarver notes that Madoff's hand speed is not as quick as Crawford's, Madoff's quickness is comparable to Golovkin's, which could enable him to exert pressure on Crawford in a manner akin to David Avanesian, even though Avanesian is the elder fringe contender. Crawford nevertheless took a lot of hits from him. Speaking to Fight Hub TV, Antonio Tarver said that Terrence Crawford should be commended for choosing one of the hardest opponents in the division. By stepping up to 154 to take on WBA junior middleweight champion Israil Madrimov, one of the strongest punchers in the class.
When you look at this guy frame, it looks like he's just a few pounds from a Canelo build. You feel me? With his frame. So, but he's going to be a strong guy. His arms are long.
On August 3, Tarver thought Crawford was trying to make a statement. Tarver went on to say that Madoff had the build of someone who was only a few pounds shy of Canelo, highlighting his strength, long arms, and unique fighting style that involved rotating between using his left and right fists to exert power. If Crawford had his wish, he could have jumped straight into a fight with Canelo to secure a big day and then retire, but he needs to put in a little more work beforehand. If His Excellency had wanted to make the challenge extremely difficult, he would have set up Crawford to face David Van Aves or David Morrow. Such a task would have been unachievable for Crawford instead of being handed a slightly more attainable yet still formidable obstacle. Tarver acknowledged Madoff's power, but expressed confidence in Terrence Crawford's versatility and talent. He advised Crawford to refrain from confronting Madoff directly, arguing that a strong defensive strategy and avoiding unnecessary shots would allow Crawford to control the fight. Additionally, Crawford's style of fighting, which isn't particularly rhythmic, allows him to wield power in both hands. However, I think Tarver has too many weapons in his bag, and he will have to fight off his talent rather than let it lead him. Crawford cannot avoid a confrontation with Madoff, who engages in combat, relentlessly pushing and releasing strong long-range shots compound Crawford's difficulties, as does his heavier weight. Keying at a faster pace and recent inactivity, many odds are against Crawford winning this fight. If he can't get a knockout, it will be a lengthy and exhausting fight on August 3.
And then his just the way he fights. It's not real rhythm there, but he just go left-handed, right-handed. He ambidextrous. He got power in both hands. I think one thing he has is power, but I believe Terrence just has so many things in his bag, you know what I'm saying? But I think he's gonna have to fight off his talent. Yeah. Let his talent lead him, don't go in there trying to bang with a banger, you know what I mean? So as long as he can deploy a good defensive strategy, make sure he don't take no unnecessary shots, I think he can control.
Crawford won't be facing a tired, damaged, accident-scared, rusty weight-deficient opponent. Errol Spence, after observing that Madoff lacked quickness and speed, and that he appeared to be planning, Tarver went on to say that Crawford ought to outpace Madoff in terms of speed after Crawford Crawford figured out his timing and rhythm. Tarver was confident that Crawford could carry out his plan because, as he put it, he's not that fast. You know, he's not that quick. He's not that fast. You know, he's almost plodding. Therefore, Crawford should be able to outpace him in speed once he finds his rhythm and timing. While his speed is similar to that of Golovkin, he doesn't stay in close and unleashes a barrage of power punches. If 40-year-old Golovkin, who had defeated Ryota Marora, were to face Crawford, the Crawford mob would be in serious trouble.
Because he's not that fast. You know, he's not that quick. He's not that fast. You know, he's, a little plodding almost. So Crawford should have the speed on him. And I think once he finds his rhythm and timing, I think Crawford will be able to do what he wants.
Madoff's hit and move technique might not work against Crawford, but it will depend on how well he can withstand Crawford's power. Crawford hasn't faced a competitor with the same level of skill as Madoff. The opposition he faced at 140 and 147 pounds was weak, and at 135 pounds, he didn't face any notable opponents aside from an older, more experienced Yuri Orkesgambo, who managed to stagger him. Crawford's challenges may stem from his age and the transition to a higher weight class. Terrence Crawford will witness the might of Israil Madrimov directly, according to Joel Diaz, Madoff's trainer. In contrast, the 36-year-old Crawford is a well-known figure, having been featured frequently on ESPN throughout his impressive 16-year career. People go with what they know and see the unknown as Crawford's prop to knock over because he's known. Diaz believes it is a mistake for anyone to expect Crawford to face Canelo Alvarez next. He argues that Crawford's upcoming opponent, Munir, is no ordinary contender and presents a significant challenge, especially with their fight scheduled for August 3. The 36-year-old Crawford is not a familiar figure to many boxing enthusiasts. Now that he is 36 years old and at the height of his abilities, Crawford faces a younger, more skilled, and highly disciplined opponent in Madrimov, who is ready to expose the gaps in his own age and abilities, said trainer Joel Diaz prior to his match against Terrence Crawford on the Snow YouTube channel, discussing Israil Madrimov. Crawford has become impetuous because of the allure of a potential big payday from a fight with Canelo Alvarez. He is also in a rush and lacks the luxury of gradually acclimating to the 154-pound weight class, which is customary for fighters returning from a year-long hiatus. Turkey, Alio Sheikh has expressed a strong desire for Crawford to face Madoff, and Crawford couldn't afford to decline, especially since Alio Sheikh holds the key to a possible Canelo bout in 2025. Consequently, Crawford is rising to the challenge and taking chances that a fighter his age and with 4 years of inexperience. Turkey saved Crawford's bacon by not challenging him to fight David Benavidez or David Morrell at 168. Those fights would have been thrilling, and if Crawford had refused Turkey's request, he would have been in big trouble against such strong punchers. Diaz stated that Madoff is extremely complex in the ring. You may see a video of Israil and have your own opinion, but being in the ring with him is a completely different experience. It's quite intricate. Mahem's unpredictable style is a result of his unusual punch delivery angles and aggressive style, even though he has experience fighting opponents from Eastern Europe. Crawford has never faced a combatant with Madoff's extraordinary strength and distinctive style. Diaz stated that he had excellent control in the ring. He's been in the ring with me. Spare when Dimitri Bivol was training for Canelo, I was astounded by the fact that at 154 pounds, he could spar with a fighter weighing 175 pounds and was doing well.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think they will fight, especially after Terrence Crawford looks great against this opponent right here. Well, it's not an opponent, against this guy right here. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, after that, it's going to be almost mandatory for them to fight. But two men gonna want to have to fight each other. You understand what I'm saying? It can't just be one man. So after, Terrence Crawford proved himself, then
I'm not sure if Bivol was being kind to him, but that sparring looked amazing. In the light heavyweight class, Dimitri Bivol isn't renowned for his commanding stature, which may help to explain why the sturdy Madoff was able to maintain his position. Canelo Alvarez and Madoff have similar bodies, which may have helped Madoff in his fight with Bivol. Bivol was probably wary of Madoff's punches because he couldn't afford to toss combinations carelessly for fear of a counterattack. It excites me to watch Israil enter the ring against Terrence Crawford because of his youth, mobility, and hurting when he hits. I know there will be exchanges in that fight, and anything can happen to make Madoff win. It will be interesting to see if he is the opponent scheduled to face Canelo. Letting Crawford bounce back into a Canelo fight after a loss would feel good. Like he's getting rewarded for his flaws, which goes against the norm when it comes to success and merit. According to Diaz, I'm aware that Terrence Crawford and Canelo have a lot of plans to fight, but you can't rely on it if this fight goes through. Madoff is a world champion, and with his experience, anything can happen. After the fight on August 3, people will find out who Israil Madrimov is.
I mean, it's obvious he got the size advantage. You know what I'm saying? But size don't mean everything in the fight. Like, size really don't mean everything in the fight. You gotta bring more to the table than just size, than just power, than just speed. You gotta bring a lot of things to the table when it comes to a fight. So don't.
Crawford claims he is only thinking about his next fight with Madoff and not considering a matchup with Canelo, but it's difficult for him to overlook the massive financial potential of a Canelo battle. He appears to have decided to advance to the 154 bits division primarily for financial gain. Israil Madrimov revealed that he and his group have found weaknesses in Terrence Crawford's game that they intend to take advantage of when they face off. As he attempts to overcome the seasoned fighter, Madrimov is convinced that his vast experience will more than make up for his lack of professional fights. Crawford Madoff claims to have fought in more than 300 amateur bouts, 200 of which were in international competition. Crawford may lack the experience that Madrimov has, but he has faced stronger opposition. Although Madrimov doesn't name the fighters, it's obvious that they represent the faded talents Crawford exploited. These fighters make up 25% of Crawford's resume and are the best opponents he has ever faced. Madoff also notes that Crawford has faced many opponents who were past their prime by the time he squared off with them.
Sure, and if he does that, that's gonna be crazy. If he knock out this guy, that he fight coming up, that's gonna be crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, this guy is a young, hungry lion. Like, this guy not coming there just to lay down, and he's a bigger, and he actually can really fight. This guy got real IQ. This guy can really fight. So Terrence outbox him like he about to do. Terrence about to knock him out like he about to do. Whatever he about to go in there and do and get the win, it's gonna be crazy. Because this matchup is just...
Crawford defeated less experienced opponents. Yes, I have 10 professional fights under my belt, but they are all of excellent caliber. All 10 were 12-round bouts against tough opponents, the WBA remarked. The real question is whether Crawford, who recently returned from a one-year hiatus and has never competed in the 154-pound class, can handle Madrim's GPG-like power at his age. This is a challenging bout for any boxer accustomed to the 154-pound division. But for someone who has been older and largely inactive over the past 4 years facing on past their prime, this might prove to be too daunting a challenge for Crawford. Israil Madrimov to ringside intel, talking about his experience heading into his fight against the old warrior Terrence Crawford. Madrimov continued, according to Madrimov, there are certain things we've been observing that we won't discuss at this time.
Sure, you'll probably see him more defensive, probably more not so much aggressive, and probably just catch this guy coming in. I watched a little bit of tape of this guy, not too much. I really want to watch him though, find time to watch him, but this guy look like he got like a little herky-jerky style, European style.
The European style, yeah.
Terrence seen that before, but with just a bigger guy like this, and he's a puncher, you know what I'm saying? I just feel like he's going to be more...
For example, many fighters are losing to Crawford before they ever enter the ring, which means their careers are already kind of in the dumps with me. I have a strong mind. The mob's assessment of fighters who are nearing the end of their careers is accurate. During Crawford's career, top-ranked fighters who were known for creating striking but frequently unremarkable records for their fighters were intentionally matched. Instead of reflecting true competitive substance, this strategy focuses more on projecting a marketable image of the fighter, similar to that of a commodity. Madoff continued, "I know what I'm capable of. I know that this fight is crucial for me, my family, my legacy, and the entire nation. I have the whole of Uzbekistan behind me. My only thoughts are positive ones. I know what I'm capable of. It's rare for these fighters to live up to the hype of their exaggerated records, and they often break down under genuine pressure. I'm coming into this battle determined to do everything in my power to win." Everyone is talking about this fight and anticipating the August 3rd bout. Additionally, it seems like Israil Madrimov is channeling his inner incredible hope as he gets ready to defend his WBA junior middleweight title. Madoff's substantial muscle mass could become a hindrance if his bout with Crawford extends into the later rounds. Former top-ranking fighter Edgar Berlanga will soon face a major test when Canelo Alvarez steps into the ring with him. Similarly, Crawford's record has been carefully managed, aiming to reflect the true nature of his abilities. Rounds, especially if Terrence begins to move as fluidly as he did earlier in his career. However, since Crawford hasn't shown such agility in the ring in a long time, he might not have the youthful quickness necessary for a hit-and-run strategy that he used more than 10 years ago. Madoff has long been known for his impressive physique, but his current form is even more defined and chiseled thanks to the rigorous training he's undergone in preparation for Crawford. If this revised appearance equates to GGG-level power, Crawford could be facing a formidable challenge. It could get interesting if Crawford and Madoff go to war, because Crawford is up against a strong opponent that he has never faced in his lengthy career. This is unquestionably the most challenging bout of Crawford's career. Furthermore, it is impossible to ignore his record, which is either spotty or comprised of elite competition. Crawford's goal in this fight is to prove to the public and his excellency that he deserves a shot at a world title against Canelo Alvarez.
Yeah, for sure. I think they will fight, especially after Terrence Crawford looks great against this opponent right here. Well, it's not an opponent, against this guy right here. You know what I'm saying? I feel like after that it's gonna be almost mandatory for them to fight. But two men gonna want to have to fight each other. You understand what I'm saying? It can't just be one man. So after Terrence Crawford proved himself, then
undisputed super middleweight champion next year. If Crawford fails to put on an impressive display, fans may question whether he is ready to move up 2 weight classes to take on Canelo. In particular, if he fails to dazzle against Madoff, social media users will be talking about Madoff's increased size for the Crawford fight, suggesting that the USBC fighter is improving his power game. Crawford seems to be betting on a knockout as his most likely tactic against the highly skilled former 3-division world champion Madrimov's power. Tim Bradley thinks that Israil Madrimov, the WBA junior middleweight champion, has a unique fighting style. Similar to former ex-WBO welterweight champion Jeff Horn, he believes Terrence Crawford will handle him with ease. Bradley said that Crawford will take on Madoff in a way that is comparable to how he faced Horn on June 9, 2018. Crawford was 30 years old at the time, but he is now 36 years old and fights twice a year in that match. Horn was stopped by Crawford in the 9th round to win the fight. Crawford used a variety of tactical maneuvers as part of his plan to defeat Horn. When Horn advanced into the clinch and engaged roughly, he would constantly circle the ring to avoid Horn's pressure strike.
and if he does that, that's gonna be crazy. If he knock out this guy, that he fight coming up, that's gonna be crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, this guy is a young, hungry lion. Like, this guy not coming there just to lay down, and he's a bigger, and he actually can really fight. This guy got real IQ. This guy can really fight. So Terrence outbox him like he about to do. Terrence about to knock him out like he about to do. Whatever he about to go in there and do and get the win, it's gonna be crazy. Because this matchup is just...
The battle had a repeat pattern, and Horn was unable to counter Crawford's deft maneuvers whenever Horn was able to close the distance. After watching Crawford spar when on the board, it's clear that he would use footwork to escape Madoff's attacks. Crawford would clinch him and use his wrestling prowess to stop Horn from escaping. For boxing fans who enjoy intense fights involving aggressive fighters, Crawford will place a strong emphasis on using his jab to deliver precise counters. always been more strategic and less about direct confrontation. This match may feel uninteresting, but that's not how he usually works. The moments he looked very motionless were against their prime. The borderline and Errol Spence candidate David Avanesyan. In order to defeat Madoff, Crawford will have to go back to his defensive strategies against Jeff Moore. When Crawford stepped up to 147 and fought Jeff Moore, many people claimed that Crawford's small coming up to 147. Bradley said he's facing the right guy at the right moment, and he's going to take full advantage of Madrimov. Madoff's strength is fearsome, and Crawford's age makes participating in a street fight foolish. I'm not sure if he can handle that guy's strength. 38-year-old Manny Pacquiao's horn broke a year after Horn's loss to Crawford. He was defeated by Tim Tune and Michael Zerafa. These defeats were brought on by Crawford wearing him out. Horn was never as good as Madoff, and Bradley misses that. Horn just wasn't that good. He doesn't have the same feel as Madrimov. Bradley said, "Do you see the trend with the guys that come forward? Madrimov is a tough, strong character who came forward. Crawford is adept at to deal with those types of styles, contrary to Bradley's claim that Madrimov doesn't engage in bullying his opponents."
For sure, you probably see him more defensive, probably more not so much aggressive, and probably just catching this guy coming in. I watched a little bit of tape of this guy, not too much. I really want to watch him though, find time to watch him. But this guy look like he got like a little herky-jerky style, European style.
The European style, yeah.
Terrence seen that before, but with just a bigger guy like this, and he's a puncher, you know what I'm saying? I just feel like he's gonna be more.
Employ Ruhouse tactics instead. He relies on strategic hot shots and aims to gradually exhaust his rivals. Crawford, on the other hand, is more inclined to use physical tactics such as wrestling, shoving, and holding and hitting. Bradley's perception of Madoff is overly simplistic and far from an accurate depiction of his fighting style. Crawford is expected to employ a similar strategy against Madoff as he did with Jeff Moore. Though this approach has been a staple in his career, successfully deployed against opponents like Ray Beltran and Ricky Burns, he enjoys staying on the move, landing sharp jabs, and catching his opponents as they advance. When they get close enough, he clinches to control the situation. This is Crawford's signature approach. While it can be overcome, doing so demands an opponent with significant knockout power. Lightweight contender Kevin Davis is confident that Terrence Crawford will secure a bout with Canelo Alvarez next year if he triumphs over Israil. Madoff Davis also predicts that Crawford will deliver a knockout blow to the Mexican star. According to Davis, Crawford should easily overcome Madoff before moving up 2 weight classes to challenge Canelo at 168. High-end trains under Brian Back McIntyre. Just like Crawford, this connection may introduce some bias and wishful thinking in Keen's perspective on what Terrence can achieve. Fans would prefer to see the 36-year-old Crawford challenge himself against Canelo by first stepping up to 168 to face a top contender like David Benavidez, rather than simply chasing a lucrative payday. Such a leap suggests Crawford might be motivated by money, leaving fans feeling shortchanged, similar to when Jamal Charlo, harder hitter than Crawford, moved from 154 to 168 to face Canelo last year and was outmatched. The two seemed like a cash grab, and Jamal has been out of the spotlight ever since Kevin Davis, speaking to Fight Hub TV, predicted. That Canelo Alvarez would want to fight Terrence Crawford next year, especially if Crawford performed well against his current opponent, WBA Junior middleweight champion Israil. Madoff Davis believed that after a strong showing against Madoff, a fight between Crawford and Alvarez would be likely if Crawford performs well against a 4-pounder with 11 professional fights. Like Madoff, it doesn't imply he should leapfrog the 160 pounds division and immediately challenge Canelo for the undisputed super middleweight title. At 168, Crawford demonstrating his skills against a single opponent at 154 doesn't establish him as deserving a fight with Canelo at 168. It's just a money grab. Only a naive person would see it as Crawford proving his worth. Davis added that it would almost become mandatory for Canelo and Crawford to fight after Crawford proved himself at 154, emphasized that both men had to want the fight, and after Crawford's performance.
I mean, it's obvious he got the size advantage, you know what I'm saying, but size don't mean everything in the fight.
Yeah.
Like, size really don't mean everything in the fight. You gotta bring more to the table than just size, than just power, than just speed. You gotta bring a lot of things to the table when it comes to a fight, you know. So don't.
David Benavidez or David Morrell at 168. However, he isn't inclined to pursue this path, as it likely wouldn't be favorable for him. However, Davis pointed out that while Canelo had a size advantage, size alone didn't determine the outcome of a fight. He emphasized that a fighter needed to bring more than just size, power, and speed. A lot of different factors had to be considered in a fight. I mean, it's obvious you got the size advantage, you know what I'm saying? But size don't mean everything in the fight. Like, size really don't mean everything in the fight. You got to bring more to the table than just size and just power and just speed. You got to bring a lot of things to the table when it comes to a fight, you know. So don't we go and get to that. If Kessin truly believes that size is irrelevant, why hasn't he moved up from 135 to 47 to challenge Jaron Woods for the welterweight title, instead of spending time calling out Frank Martin and Chayef Lopez? He should back up his words by facing Woods and proving to the boxing community that size isn't a factor. Regrettably, replacing size plays a crucial role in boxing. This is the reason why it's uncommon for fighters to move up several weight classes to face challenging opponents. Fighters typically only take that risk when they pinpoint a less formidable foe whom they are certain they can overcome, considering that even Gene Golovkin was unable to eliminate Canelo. Crawford is unlikely to succeed, especially if, as we've seen in his prior fights, he employs a defensive tactic comprising continual movement, jabbing, gripping, and wrestling. Crawford is merely advancing in weight to take on Canelo in order to receive the large salary that he doesn't truly deserve. It would be utterly unfair to the competitors who have been patiently waiting in the 168 bits division for him to surpass them. Davis expressed belief that Crawford might defeat Canelo, which would be a remarkable accomplishment. He continued by saying that it would be noteworthy if Crawford defeated Madrimov, since Madoff was a young, clever, and eager fighter who came to compete seriously. Davis thought Crawford would outbox Madoff and knock her out, underscoring the importance of this difficult fight. I believe he can definitely knock out Canelo, and if he does, it will be crazy. This guy is a young, hungry lion who isn't going to go there just to lay down. Instead, he's bigger and more skilled in the ring. Terrence outboxes him like he's about to knock him out, like he's about to go in there and do whatever he's about to go in there and do and get the win. This matchup is just crazy for him too, so it's unclear how Crawford will fare against Madoff, given that he's stepping into a new weight class at 154 Lopes and will be turning 37 in September. Prior to declaring retirement, it appears that his goal is to arrange a profitable fight with Canelo. Given that Madoff is larger and had more punching power than Terrence Crawford, he predicted that Crawford would be the less aggressive fighter going into the fight, concentrating more on countering Madoff as he advanced. He also mentioned that Madoff had an Eastern European fighting style, which Crawford was familiar with. A smaller fighter entered the fight, and you could see that he was more defensive and perhaps less aggressive. I watched a little bit of this fighter's tape, but not too much. I really want to watch him, so I'll find some time to do so. However, this fighter appeared to have a little jerky style, European fashion, then stating, "I've seen this before, but with a bigger guy like this who can punch, you get the idea that he will be more defensive." Boxing legend in the interim Floyd Mayweather, who is renowned for his razor-sharp insight and extensive knowledge of the sport, has made an audacious prediction about a prospective future fight between Madoff and Crawford. Within the boxing community, Mayweather's remarks have generated a tremendous deal of interest and discussion. Mayweather stressed that Madoff's technical skill and distinct fighting style are what could give him an advantage over Crawford. He emphasized Madoff's ability to change stances with ease, his accurate footwork, and his talent for coming up with angles that confuse opponents. Madam's adaptability in the ring makes him a dangerous foe for someone like Crawford. One of the crucial points made by Mayweather was Madoff's ability to combine power and speed was one of Mayweather's critical points. He explained how any fighter can be overwhelmed by Madam's explosive punches, which are delivered with both speed and accuracy. Mayweather thinks that Madam's ability to deliver quick, powerful shots could throw Crawford off balance and force him to defend himself. If you like this video, be sure to watch some of our others that are displayed on the screen.